guys, welcome back to the Click Chick podcast. Today I am here with my friend Ashely.
Hello.
With Ashely, Cynthia Photo and Film. She's based out of Arizona. We met a couple years ago. I just answered one of her second shooter, I'm looking for somebody to work for me post on Facebook, I think. And we just became immediate friends. Our energy is so similar, giggly, stupid, an absolute silly goose on the loose.
Best wedding I've worked probably to this date, with second shooter wise. So.
Yes. So now every time she's in Charlotte, I try to harass her to hang out with me or
yes, not harass because I do want to hang out with you.
Very politely harassing in a joyful way. Yeah.
Yes. The light nudges.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about what you do. And then she also has a really juicy story for us. A couple good ones, but one that's really intense and nationwide, something like that.
Yeah.
So tell everybody a little bit about just your business and services you provide and who you are, where you are, all the things.
Yeah. I'm Ashely. That's the thing. I travel all over the US doing photo video for amazing, lovely couples. I primarily shoot and specialize in destination for me weddings, not necessarily for couples. I only shoot maybe 2 or 3 weddings in Arizona a year. But yeah.
She travels more than anybody I've ever met. And does the most weddings. I don't know how you juggle everything. We just got lunch before we started recording this, and we're talking about how many weddings she's doing this year. I'm I'm doing 35 this year, and that seems like a lot to me. And she's out here I think I have 50 something. I don't know.
I just don't count them anymore. I'm going to this state around this time, and that's what I'm doing.
But you thrive with it, and you have so much fun with it.
Yes.
So it works out great.
I love it.
Yeah, so she DM'd me after she had listened to some of the podcasts and was like, girl, I have a story for you. Let me write it up. And even better, come on the podcast.
Yes.
So let's do the thing. What's the teaser headline?
Let's see. Are we talking the big juicy story?
Yeah. Wait, which one do you want to do first? Should we do
which one do you want me to do first?
Maybe let's start small.
Small? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, second shooter, very unprofessional. I know English. Very unprofessional. She seemed like she was such an amazing shooter. I saw her portfolio. It was amazing. I saw some galleries, super amazing. And then she showed up to this bougie wedding, which, by the way, there were celebrities at this wedding. It was on somebody's multi-million-dollar mansion property.
Oh my gosh.
Shows up with her boyfriend. Didn't tell me that she was bringing her boyfriend in. He has hickeys all over his neck. He is not dressed for a wedding, nothing. He's just kind of being a shadow to her and just following her everywhere throughout the wedding day.
An assistant or just
he
there?
Wasn't even doing anything.
Oh my gosh.
Wasn't even doing anything. And mind you, this was one that I hired an associate. One of my best friends, Gabby, she lives in Arizona. She traveled to New Jersey with me to go shoot some weddings because I had a wedding in Virginia. She did the one in New Jersey same day. Literally the most trusted person that I know in the wedding industry other than you. But she's just texting me throughout the day. She's yeah, this girl, I almost cursed there. Shows up with her boyfriend, hickeys all over, dressed not in anything nearly what he needed to be for a wedding, especially that bougie of a wedding. Couple didn't really notice. I think they thought he was an assistant, and Gabby, my friend, kind of addressed him like an assistant. It would throw the flowers at him.
You almost have to. If you're going to be here, do something.
Yes, yeah. So we kind of put him to work, but there came a point where Gabby instructed her to go and do some detail pictures for the cocktail hour and get some cocktail pictures. She did a couple of them. Editing and coloring was so much fun because there wasn't enough cocktail hour because she spent, and I calculated on the camera, the time wise for photos. She spent 7 minutes doing cocktail hour pictures and then went and hid somewhere, took some of the cocktail hour food and hung out with her boyfriend over in the reception tent.
How would you think that's okay?
I honestly am curious about that too. And I was going back and forth about sending her a very long message and being hey, who said that this was fine? Like, do you do this at every wedding? Or like, is this just like a one-off thing?
And that's the busiest time for us, is between the ceremony and like after first dances happen. There's so much in that 2-hour time span.
Yep.
Like, what are you doing chilling at cocktail hour? That feels illegal.
Honestly. Or even just like sitting down and actually getting some of the cocktail hour food. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I just did a story on the last episode where the associate photographer showed up in a white sheer shirt.
Yes, I think I did hear you talk about
and
that.
And this
one.
feels like just as bad as that.
Yeah.
Like, she showed up with a whole other person.
Yep.
Is just chilling.
Yep. And apparently, like, my videographer, because that was a full team, photo and video. Videographers caught her like making out in a corner with him.
No.
Yeah. Out of glimpse, like, nobody from the guest list saw them, as they said. They, like, at least was a little discreet about it, but, like...
What about a wedding? Like, I know weddings are romantic and beautiful and whatever, but as a wedding vendor, weddings are hot, sweaty, and chaotic. So you're like, now's the time to make out, baby.
It's like,
you and me right here, vendor closet, let's go.
No, but, like, it's somebody else's special day. Don't make it about, like, you. Like... Take that home.
That's so rude.
So,
did you pay her?
So I did, but she was supposed to be there the entire 8 hours. And my associate shooter made the decision because she had been texting me throughout the day, but I was also busy because I was also at a wedding.
Yeah.
And I was like, just whatever. I trust you. Your judgment is key. And she yelled at her and she told her to go, like, to get out, pack it up, and leave.
How were her photos?
They were...
Like, you said you saw her portfolio and it was good.
It wasn't the same as her portfolio.
That's such a bummer.
That's 100% what it is. But luckily, my associate shooter, especially because she and the groom were supposed to get some getting ready, my associate shooter decided to go and get some of the groom getting ready too, so I could use some of her pictures instead of being forced into using the second shooter's pictures.
That's my worst nightmare.
Yeah, it was. I literally was so baffled. And I had, I think, a 2-3 hour drive back up to my friend because we were staying in New Jersey. And I, like I said, was in Virginia. So I had to drive back up. Same night.
Oh my gosh.
And she called me and she's like, B word.
you can cuss on the podcast.
Okay. Sure.
You can cuss.
Yeah, no, she's like, bitch, she won't believe what just happened. And she gave me the whole rundown of like every little event. I'm like, I don't even know what to, like, it was an hour-long like ramble that she went on. I was like, I gave you bullet points here.
Oh my god.
I have no idea. Like, I don't know how this girl, because I had been talking to her for like a month and a half, 2 months before the wedding. Prepped her. I let everybody know that this was like a higher end wedding, that it was like very exclusive, like don't take any pictures facing this direction because it's like property. So
Can I ask who the celebrities were?
Yes, but I don't think I can put it out there.
You can't answer?
Yeah.
You can tell me when we're not recording.
Yeah, I can do that. I can tell you.
Okay, I won't press you now then.
Yeah, but no, like the groom is like childhood friends with the celebrity, and it's not like a huge celebrity that everybody will know about.
Yeah.
But,
No, I've done a celebrity wedding once, and I'm like, when I told people who it was, they were like, who is that?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, they are though. Like, they're a celebrity, I promise. It's
like,
just not like Brad Pitt. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, so basically the theme of the episode is like scammers.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of fits in, because we also talked about, while we were at lunch, we were talking about second photographers or even associate photographers, even on the client side, just kind of getting scammed by dishonest portfolios, I think is a good way of putting it, where somebody books a photographer for their wedding. They're like, wow, the photos on their website were amazing. But they actually were all styled shoots. So this person's never actually shot a wedding or something similar to that. So yeah, very, very similar. Great portfolio, not a great second shooter.
No, you can tell like somebody that's very just styled shoot driven.
Yeah.
Versus somebody that's actually been to a wedding day.
Well, and like photographers notice that. Like other photographers, like if I see it, I immediately can pick it out. Or even when someone's entire portfolio is like second shooter work, I can tell because we know what the pose should look like and what it looks like when it's off by an angle.
Yeah.
And so, we know, but clients don't know. And so I always feel so horrible when they're like, it's not a representation of their work. I'm like, well, looking at their website, like I could have told you it'd be that way, but I understand like why you wouldn't know. You know what I mean?
This is why you check reviews too.
Check reviews.
Ask for lots of different like work too in different scenarios.
And full galleries.
Yeah.
I always want to see like 3 full galleries.
Yep.
My other favorite thing is looking at tagged posts. Like go to the photographer's page and then see what they have tagged because then you can see what clients are actually posting and like real people posting their work.
Like what are their favorites out of the gallery? And if it's like really bad, then you know what to expect out of that gallery.
Well, right. And like us photographers, we curate our Instagram feed. Like you have a gorgeous Instagram feed. I care a lot about how I overthink mine way too much, honestly.
No, but yours is also very gorgeous.
Thank you. I'm like in posting paralysis right now because I'm like, I don't even know what I want to put out there. But it's like we have these beautiful curated feeds, and then the stuff that we're tagged in is more of like the real life kind of stuff where clients are posting their reception photos, like first dance with dad. Like I never really post those photos. They're gorgeous and beautiful and whatever, but I never really post those. So it's nice as a client to be like, okay, I want to see all of the reality.
Yes, all the things throughout the day, not just the pretty things, but
the
ugly crying and all that.
Have you ever hired a photographer for yourself?
No.
Oh, really? So you've never had to like go through the stress of all of that?
No. So usually like if I get headshots done or anything, my friend Gabby, the one that associate shot, she is the only one that I would like will actually let take pictures of me. I'm the typical photographer. You know how like doctors, they're the worst patients? Yeah. I am the worst person in front of a camera.
I take my own headshots for that same reason. I won't let anybody do them.
I couldn't do that. I give you lots of props.
It's just me, my phone remote, and a tripod, and like we are having a good time.
See, I'm just awkward. I'd be like, what's up? I'm so bad at posing. So I need someone else that I trust to do it.
That's fair.
Yes.
Okay, I'm dying to get into the big story.
Yes. So you know how I'm like a huge fan of Zola. Yeah. Love Zola. That's where I get like 90% of my clients.
And if you guys don't know, Zola is kind of like Wedding Wire or The Knot. It's just one of those online wedding advertising services that wedding photographers can sign up for. If you're a wedding photographer and you haven't signed up yet, you should, because I also get a lot of work on there and it's beautiful. Anyway,
it's amazing.
Continue.
So this couple reached out to me. I'm going to give you their names because they are not real. And I can tell you that they are not real. It was Taylor, and then her fiance's name was Kenneth. Okay. So they reached out to me on Zola, and this is probably the time where I'm getting like at some points, and you've probably dealt with this on Zola too. Some days you get like hundreds of inquiries, and then other days you get like 0. Yeah. Like it's just month to month kind of thing. So this was one of those times where I was getting a lot of inquiries. So I didn't really read too much into it. Responded, we were talking, I followed up, all that kind of stuff. And they're like, hey, let's do a call. I always do Zoom calls because stranger danger, and I don't usually meet these couples until wedding day. Smart. Flag number 1, and I felt the red flag, but at that point I was like, it's time to start booking stuff. They asked for a phone call instead of a Zoom call. Yeah. Which like some people don't want to be on video, so I can see that. It's fine. So I get onto this call with her. She's super talkative, very excited, which some brides are super duper excited about their wedding days, want to talk about everything and anything under the sun. And then other brides are like, yeah, let's just get to the point. Yeah. This bride was that one that wanted to talk about everything and anything. So she and I are chatting. We're talking about wedding day. I always kind of walk through like, what's your vision of the wedding day? Like, how can I make your vision come to life? All that kind of stuff. Yeah. She's going into detail. It's fine. No red flags. And then I hear her say, oh, Kenneth is home. And I was like, okay, cool. And then like, apparently he was sitting next to her and she kept asking him questions. And it sounded like they were talking to each other, but I could never hear his voice. So it's just her answering to nothing. Oh. I was like, this is like a flag, but maybe she's using headphones and like it's super like adaptive kind of thing. Yeah. So I was like, okay, you know what? Let's shut that down. It's fine. She went into what they did for work. She said that she was a psychologist that worked at a like school for orphaned children, I guess, or like troubled kids.
Okay.
That have a lot of family issues. And then he was a pharmacist, which, as you know, I did pharmacy for like 13 years. So I was like, okay, we vibe on this. I did pharmacy too. I'm like, oh, that's so cool, Kenneth. You're a pharmacist. And, like nothing, crickets.
That's so awkward. You're like, he's on the phone, right?
Yeah. Like apparently he was sitting next to her and then she's like, oh, he actually just went to the bathroom. I was like, oh, okay. People go to the bathroom, whatever.
Right. Still not a red flag. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, okay, brush it off. But like looking back at it now, I'm like, this was so creepy. So that entire phone call, 3 hours long.
Whoa.
She would not let me get off the phone.
My longest call is probably 45 minutes, maybe an hour.
That's about my longest call too.
3 hours.
3 hours. She kept me on the phone. And literally at that time I lived with my parents again because I had just moved back from Dallas. And my mom kept coming up to my room and she's like, dinner time? I'm on the phone with the potential client. I can't go to dinner. So yeah. So the next thing I let her, like, she finally let me off the phone. And mind you, Arizona time versus, I think she said she was in Boston.
Okay.
3 hour time difference, and this was in the evening. By the time we hung up, it was like almost 11 p.m. their time on a weekday. So it's like, this is
weird.
A red flag. But some people are just night people.
Yeah. I mean, I don't go to bed till like 2 a.m. usually, so yeah.
So like I had like an explanation for everything that happened in my mind, and I kind of set my red flags at ease.
Yeah.
So the next, I gave it a day or two. She started texting me because I always give out my number after the Zoom calls. So I'm like, oh, hey, we're best friends. If we get like personal, then you'll want to book me, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So she's texting me that next morning. She's like, oh, we really enjoyed it. I just have to talk to Kenneth, see like which package we want to book, all of that kind of stuff. And then I think that evening, she said that they sat down and they wanted to pick my biggest package. Nobody picks my biggest package.
Oh, really?
Nobody picks because it's photo and video. It's like a full day, like 12 hours worth of content, that kind of thing. Like, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Nobody picks my biggest package. It's just there to make the other packages look nice. So they said they wanted to do that. And I was like, oh, I mean, I'm not going to say no.
Right.
Cool. And then she said, because I told her that I would send over the proposal with the contract, all that kind of stuff. And she said, okay, well, can we schedule another phone call to go over the contract?
You're like, oh God.
Yeah.
Another 3 hours.
I was like, I mean, sure. And she's like, I just don't understand contract stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, sure.
Is your contract that complicated?
No. It is not. And it's broken down. Like, I can understand it, so that means it's not very complicated.
Like, we're just photographers. Yeah.
It's like I had to make sure that I could understand what I was doing, plus clients.
Right.
So a lawyer looked over it to make sure it was legal, but that's it. So she scheduled another call with me. I think it was like the next day in the evening. We're on the phone talking another 3 hours.
No way.
I
was joking when I said that.
No,
okay.
It was for real, another 3 hours, because she wanted to talk about wedding plans. And she wanted to talk about like how they wanted to do like different things and like the getting ready. And she sent me TikToks of what she wanted to do. She sent me like wedding films of what she wanted to do, all that kind of stuff. So this isn't even the crazy stuff that's happening. This is just like the initial stuff.
Right. And like this could just be an intense client. Like that happens. And that's great. Like I love when people provide me with a ton of information. So still not a red flag.
No. But like I was starting to get those little funky feelings though. Yeah. I was like, okay, this feels a little weird. Because again, she was doing the same thing where she was like, oh yeah, hey Kenneth, what do you think about this, this, and this? Oh yeah, me too. Like it sounded like they were just talking back and forth.
But you couldn't hear him.
No.
Ooh.
And I think at one point she said her mom was coming over to her apartment. And then I heard somebody actually walk in on the phone call and start talking with her. Okay. And then leave.
So you are able to hear people talking in the background.
Yes.
Ooh.
So there was just one point and I was like, okay, well maybe her AirPods died and she switched it or something like that. Or I don't know. Yeah. Switched over to speaker. Kenneth was at work or something. I don't know. So mom comes into the conversation. I hear like something whispered. I could not understand what was being said. But then she walks back out and she's like, she starts explaining to me how her sister lives in the same apartment complex as her. Her mom lives down the street from her, and like starting to go into family details. Her dad's a cop and all this kind of stuff. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I gotta go. Have a great day. And then we end the call, all that kind of, but it was more polite, I promise.
Yeah.
So then after that, the next morning, I think it was 4 a.m. Arizona time. Because the night before she said she'd sign it, all that kind of stuff, pay the deposit. The next morning, and we were planning an engagement session as well, by the way.
So this is legit. That. Like, this is moving. Yeah. This feels like a real client.
Yeah.
Not like, a catfish.
Yeah. I gotta add this too. We were talking about engagement sessions and signing contract on that long phone call, the second long phone call. She said that they wanted to give me a check in person when I come out to do their engagement pictures.
Oh, no.
I said, fuck no.
Yeah.
I was like, we are paying that online. Use HoneyBook. Sign it. We're good.
Well, because the check scam is such a common scam in this industry.
So that's why it was giving me another red flag. I'm like,
right.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Immediately I would be like, oh, this is not good.
Yeah. I was like, But then they were like, okay, that's cool. Well, his mom's going to chip into some of it. So I just have to wait for her to send me the credit card information.
Which is legit.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Parents help all the time with paying for some of the things for wedding day.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. The next morning, though, 4 a.m., I got a text message. She said that her soon-to-be mother-in-law is devastated, and Kenneth is devastated because Kenneth's little sister was involved in that Michigan University shooting and passed away. She legit said that to me, and that she was up all night and they were considering if they have to drive out to Michigan and go be with the family and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, holy shit, if this is a real person, because at that point I was kind of like, this sounds kind of like that's something that's happening, and I did not want to belittle an experience if that is something that happened.
Like horrifyingly traumatic.
Yes.
You can't question, you can't question it. You're not allowed to.
No, and this happened during that time too when like school shootings are still a big thing.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be a big thing. It's a terrible thing.
Yeah.
But when it was like a lot of news about the things, and it like felt like it was just constantly happening. So it's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I feel like such a shitty person because I had those doubts in my mind, and now something super traumatic and horrible just happened. And I just was like, I'm so sorry. And she's like, it's okay. If you want, we can schedule another phone call.
Yeah, not another phone call.
I was like, no, it's okay. Grieve with the family, be with the family, do whatever you need to. Like, I'm here. We can reschedule a couple things. And then just whenever you guys are ready, sign a contract and get that deposit over. She's like, cool. And then throughout the entire thing, she's still sending me Pinterest stuff. And it just kind of felt funny that she's
aren't you grieving, supporting your husband or soon-to-be husband?
Yes. And also, by the way, and I'm going to show you some pictures. She, at the time of us talking, constantly was sending me pictures of what they look like. So that's what they said she looked like.
Okay, cute little couple.
Thank you.
Looks very LA. Yeah.
She was sending me pictures of maid of honor and best man.
Also gorgeous people.
Right.
Stunning.
And there was a point too. So like I was on Instagram with her, and she had an excuse for not having a lot of followers on Instagram. 6 followers? Yeah. And guess what? Half of those were photographers.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I'm like segueing. And then she kept sending me pictures of like her nephew, and like she has
like, why would she send this stuff to you? That's so random.
So random. She sent me a ton of pictures of her dog too, allegedly her dog. It was a husky. It was adorable pictures, but don't think they're hers.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay, so that what happened.
So that whole traumatic situation happened. I'm very devastated for them. I think the day after, she reached out again, and she's like, hey, I'm going to get you in contact with my planner coordinator for the venue. And I was like, okay, cool. We're like a year and a half out from your wedding. But yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's
like,
weird.
Open communication. Sure.
Yeah.
Try something new. So then she gives me the number that Ava was the coordinator, planner.
Mm-hmm.
So Ava contacted me, and I was like, hey, super excited to meet you. And she's like, we're going to plan a visit whenever you come out to do their engagement session. We'll go out and visit the venue. You can tour around. We can do some engagement pictures on the venue. There's a really pretty lighthouse on the beach, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
I was like, cool. Perfect. I get to meet a coordinator before the actual wedding day.
Yeah, that never happens.
Never happens. Or planner before wedding day. Usually it's just email correspondences. So that whole conversation, and then after that, things started to get really weird. So Taylor eventually did sign my contract, and then I asked her about the payment, and she again was like, oh wait, since you're coming out in like 3 weeks to do our engagement pictures, can we just pay you, like, check that date? And
again with the check.
I know. I never schedule engagement sessions until that deposit was paid, but I felt bad because of the death of the family. So, yep, I was like, no, but we'll schedule this. Just whenever mom-in-law has a chance, just have her pay the deposit.
So you have an engagement session lined up in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Date, time, place,
Yep.
ready to go.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but the thing is I, in my mind, knew that by that week before mark, because I was heading out to Boston anyway to do a wedding. So it wasn't any difference for me to travel out there and be there like a couple hours earlier to do, like, as soon as I flew in to go do the engagement session.
Okay.
It would have been easy peasy.
Yeah.
It kind of just all worked out. But I knew if I did not get a deposit or anything, I would not have shot it.
Okay, good.
So I wasn't going to shoot it until I got a payment.
Yeah.
But I wanted to give her a little bit of leeway because I felt bad about what had happened.
Did you ever look into the incident and like look at names?
I did. And I felt like shit for doing that too.
Yeah.
I felt so bad.
I probably would have too, just to make sure. But yeah, anyway, sorry, keep going.
But it was just a weird overall. I felt so, because I even talked, again, Gabby, I talked to her about it too. And I was like, I don't feel like this is a real situation that she's talking about. I think she's just using like news to kind of like get away with some things.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, if it is true, then I'm a shitty person.
Well, right. And you don't want to be on that side of things either. So
No.
I get it. Like, we have to protect ourselves.
Yes. So, there was a point, though, where she started saying that there was another photographer that she was talking to previous to me that was now stalking her.
Red flag.
Yes. It's a huge red flag. And she was telling me that this photographer was like nonstop harassing her, would call her all the names under the ocean, trees, whatever. She said that this photographer said that she was threatening to come over to her house and to break in and hurt her and her family. And I was like, what?
Were you like, why would she be doing that?
So I think at that point I knew that this was fake.
Okay.
Because I asked her, I said, oh my God, who is it?
I mean, I would want to know too.
Yes. Well, also I'm very nosy.
We love gossip.
Yes, the tea. So she gave me a name of who it was. Which also, side note, she was saying that this photographer was making up different Instagrams and then reaching out to photographers that she had booked or she was like talking to and was asking if they're available for like her wedding date.
Oh.
Which was kind of also weird because how did they know like who was like booked and who wasn't booked?
Yeah.
So there was just a random account that reached out to me and was like, hey, actually I have that screenshot too.
Yeah, you came prepared with the receipts today.
I tried. Maybe I don't have it. I do have the Pinterest board that she had created, and it was just like a bunch of random stuff.
Oh, and it's the picture of her profile picture on Pinterest is the same picture, is like it taken the same day as the photo she sent of the two of them from earlier.
Yes. So it was just, and also she would just randomly send me stuff like outside and what the trees look like
weird.
and stuff.
That's so
It's
weird.
just
I know, I was about to scroll and then I was like, wait, it's not real.
So, okay. Anyway, continuing with the photographer side of things. So she told me the name and I reached out to the photographer and I was like, hey, this person reached out to me and I'm starting to get a couple of red flags about her. Did she reach out to you as well? And she's saying that you're like stalking her and all this and that.
Oh my gosh.
Like I straight up told her
Good
everything.
for you. You're like bold. Yeah.
And then that photographer said, you are the fourth person that has come to me about this.
I have goosebumps.
She added me to a group chat with like 6 other different photographers. And we're like, hey, we're all sharing evidence. Everybody's sharing pictures. This bride had a different story for everybody.
No way.
Yeah. So one photographer, she told them that parents died in a car accident, and that's why she couldn't pay the retainer. Somebody else, she said, like, Kenneth was in a car accident and he was in a coma or something like that.
Kenneth is in a coma.
I know. Kenneth is in a coma.
Not Kenneth. Invisible Kenneth.
Yes, fake Kenneth. So, and like they got deep in that too. Everybody was doing Google searches, reverse IP searches.
Whoa.
Out of all of those photographers, everybody talked to her about doing an engagement session and almost scheduled an engagement session with her.
Yeah.
I was the only one she actually signed a contract with.
Huh.
And out of curiosity, because I used HoneyBook,
right,
I messaged them and I was like, hey, can you guys like see IP addresses from contract signatures? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, cool. We'll see if this goes anywhere. I might need that information.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, that was.
So what's her end game though?
We all don't know, because she did the same thing with everybody where she'd keep them on the phone for like an hour to 3 hours.
So the fiance's fake.
Yep.
Kenneth is not real.
Yeah. Kenneth, we're pretty sure is not real. Like none of us saw like what they actually look like. So we don't know if anybody's real. We don't even know. At some point, I think we thought Taylor was a dude.
Just using a girly voice.
Yeah.
So 3 hours. What do you talk about on the phone for 3 hours? With someone who's not getting married. There's no wedding. What would have happened if you... I'm losing my words because I have so many questions now.
It's so much.
What would have happened if you would have gotten to the point of the engagement session? Would there have been some horrific car accident? Or would a couple have shown up for photos and been like, LOL, this is actually us, not the Taylor and Kenneth from before? Like, what's the end game?
So it's funny. One of the photographers actually got to the date of the engagement session.
Oh, okay, good.
And they were like heading out to the engagement session. But it was raining, so both parties decided to cancel. And I think she was in Pennsylvania. So they said that they were out there for another wedding for that weekend and decided to do like 2 birds, 1 stone.
Oh, okay.
So that one got canceled day of because of the rain. It was raining, so I think there would have been probably an excuse.
So that just worked out really well.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But like, who knows? What if they would show up at like sex trafficked photographers or something like that?
Okay, so I just saw something on Facebook. One of the communities I'm a part of, this guy posted and was like, hey, my sister's a photographer and she has this really weird inquiry right now for like an in-home session, but the home is currently listed on Zillow or whatever and is completely empty, like no furniture, anything, but somebody's trying to book a session here. And he's like, I feel like this is dangerous. And the person wouldn't get on the phone with them or something. And she wanted to do it because she needed money. And the brother or whoever was just like, no, this doesn't feel right. But it's scary out here.
Yes.
Like most photographers that I know are female.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing about our job is people pay us to go meet them in isolated locations.
Yes.
Like, oh, come up to Boone where there's no cell phone service and take a picture of me and my fiance. And, you know, I vet my clients. Like, you have to talk to me to book me, whatever. You have to give me like social media and all this stuff. But there's so much risk that we're taking out here, just being like trusting.
There was a joke when I first started doing photography, and my dad's former NYPD. So my dad is like very cautious about everything. But I always told my dad whenever I was running out to go do like an engagement shoot or anything, I'm like, bye, Dad, I'm going to go meet a random couple in the middle of the desert. See you later.
Right. Like that's the dad's worst fear.
Yeah. It's like, if you don't hear from me in the next 3 hours, peace.
I'm just absolutely floored. I wonder how many people she's done this to, because how many was it? 6? 5?
There was, I think, 6 or 7 of us in that group chat of we called it Crazy Taylor.
So she used the same name for everybody.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's her real name.
Same names. So here's the other thing.
Oh boy.
On Snapchat, you know how it suggests friends?
Oh, I'm not on Snapchat. I don't know.
Okay. So on Snapchat.
It suggests people?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So it's kind of like Instagram. When you get a new contact in your phone, when you have it enabled to see all those contacts, it'll suggest people.
Yeah.
That's what Snapchat was doing for Taylor. So that picture, Taylor was Caucasian. On her Snapchat, the little like emoji thing that people use to describe them was not Caucasian.
Okay.
So, yes.
Yeah, and like why would you make it not your race?
Yes.
So that's pretty telling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
So, it was, yeah. Oh, and then the other thing too, her email was like Marilyn something. It wasn't even her name.
She didn't even bother. You can make an email in 20 seconds.
To use her,
at least make a Taylor email address. Yeah. Or the blob Taylor and Kenneth's wedding.
Yes, yeah.
Because it was always Kenneth, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was Kenneth and Taylor.
Was the venue the same? Or was she like different states?
That's the other thing. It was all the same venue. So it was a Red Barn venue up in Massachusetts. So I called them like the second I realized that it was a scam. Well, not the second, because I think it was late at night and the East Coast is closed.
The second they opened.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. You're good.
The second they opened. And I was like, hey, so I have this couple that's inquiring on this date, and this is the name of the couple. Do you guys have them booked? Because at first they're like, we can't give any information of who's booked on that date. I'm like, I understand.
Oh, right.
So I gave them the names, I gave them the date, and they're like, we do not have anybody booked by that name on that date or anywhere around that date, nor do we have a couple that is named like that. And then they said, you are the sixth photographer today to call. So multiple people. And then one of the other photographers told Taylor, I think it was other photographer or it was me, that we would reach out to the venue. And she said, no, you have to reach out to Ava. Ava's the point of contact, because the other number that you call, that's just their main line and you won't get through to anybody because it's just, they're always so busy. So just call Ava the planner. So
I want a psychologist to be in the room with us right now so that we can analyze why Taylor is doing this.
I think it was just she was out to waste people's time because that's the only thing you could gain, unless she was doing that check scam. Because she did she mailed out a check supposedly to one of the other photographers, was ready to mail out a check to another photographer. Okay. So I think maybe there was some sort of check scam maybe that was going to go on for
Let's explain what the check scam is, because the audience for the podcast is a lot of new photographers. Yeah. So if you guys haven't come across this yet, you will, especially if you do online advertising of any sort.
Yep.
I've had it happen a lot of times where I get a text from some random, it's usually a guy. He's like, hey, it's Mike, and my wife's 45th birthday is next weekend. It is 20 guests, this time, this date, in this city. Can you give me a quote to shoot it? I always respond back and I'm like, it'll be $20,000. And then they never respond again. But yeah, what they do is, it might not be this exact situation. Like there's tons of different contexts they'll give you.
Yes.
But what they do is they're like, okay, well, I'll mail you a check for this amount. And then what ends up happening is they send you too much money. So like say you want to charge $3,000 for whatever they're asking. Yeah. They're going to send you $3,600 as a check. You're going to go cash that check, whatever. And he's going to be like, oh, I overpaid you. That money was supposed to go to
the caterer.
The caterer. Yeah. Can you send back that extra $600? So your check still hasn't like bounced, but it's going to bounce because it's not a legit check. It looks like a real check. The bank is like, yep, this is a legit bank, blah, blah, blah. I don't know how they have real checks, but anyway, it's a real check. Everybody will tell you it's real. It's going to bounce. Like, do not trust this check, even if the bank says it's legit. And that $600 overpayment that you give back, that's your real money that you're giving away. Then the check bounces. Now you're out $600 and they just got that money from you. So that's basically how this scam works. So I don't take checks from anybody.
I don't.
Period. Ever at all. I don't do like Venmo or anything either like that. Like if it's a client I've worked with before, so like if they booked me for their wedding and then they're like, we want to do an anniversary session, I'll do Venmo. Okay. But even those services, I had somebody, this was like somebody in real life unrelated to photography. They paid me and then they did a fraud charge even though there was no fraud.
Yeah.
And so now I don't trust anything.
No.
And like Cash App was just kind of like, no, you're SOL. Like we can't help you. And I'm just like, that sucks.
Yeah.
So
but sometimes even cash is hard too.
Yeah. I don't do cash unless it's somebody that I've worked with before, like repeat clients. Like everything I have to do through a credit card company. And even then, like you can do chargebacks and all that, but at least we can fight it and whatever. But don't accept checks.
Nope. Please don't do checks. We are not in the 90s anymore.
We're not in the 90s anymore. Yeah. Man, I am just stuck on this.
I know.
So she must just be really lonely and bored sitting in her house. Probably has been dreaming of her wedding her whole life. And
it's so weird though, because like each of these photographers, she was spending so much time, and I'm sure she was doing a lot more on Zola. There was a point when Zola did email me because their Zola account was taken down like midway through, which was probably also another red flag. But she told me that she deleted it because too many people were finding it, or that photographer that was stalking her found it and they took it down, and that's why I couldn't find it anymore. Which again was red flags everywhere, but I just did not in the minute. I was like, oh, it's fine. It's fine. Some clients are kind of just weird.
Oh my God.
But yeah, Zola took their profile down and she couldn't like reach out to me again.
So enough people reported it.
Yeah.
Ew, that's so ugly. Like that's so nasty. Why would you do that?
Yep.
We are such busy people as photographers, especially when you're full time, obviously.
Yeah.
So to waste 3 hours multiple times, that I would cry.
I think, so at that point, I was kind of like mistrusting in Zola then.
Yeah.
Just because like that happened. I'm like, okay, well, who else isn't real?
Right.
So I got like a ton of inquiries that wanted to book me after that. And some of them I was like, okay, we got to go through this, this, and this. I got to get you on a Zoom call, like video only. I no longer do phone calls.
You and your partner. No invisible Kenneths anymore.
Yeah, no invisibles. There was this bride right after Taylor and Kenneth that sounded way too good to be true. So I was like, okay, she's not real. She's not real. And then I showed up to their, like, they booked me, paid the deposit, showed up to their engagement session. It's a gorgeous couple. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I did not trust you guys were real. It's like, this is too good to be true.
Like, I have PTSD, my bad.
So now, like, anytime I get an inquiry online, I search for their, like, registry at least. Like,
yeah, let's end this with what people should do to vet clients.
Yeah.
Because scammers are getting better, and especially with AI and everything that's possible.
Yep.
Like for a newbie photographer or even someone who's been doing this a long time, like there's new creative.
Yes.
So now what do you do to vet people?
So if they have Instagram, it's kind of like what we were saying before, where clients should go onto people's Instagrams or vendors' Instagrams and see the tags. I do the same thing for clients. I check their tags.
Smart.
If their friends are posting about them and tagging them, they're real.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it doesn't make sense. I look for, if it's on Zola, I try to see if I can find their Zola page with like their wedding information and like RSVP stuff. I even go as far as looking for LinkedIn's, like anything with pictures on it, just to cross-verify to make sure it is the right person.
Yeah.
I'm about to start asking for IDs. I'm kidding.
Mother's maiden name, social security number.
Oh, you had a dog named Spot too?
And what city were you born in?
But yes, no, I try to do social media hunting, but there's always those couples that aren't on social media.
Yeah, so, which is like a Zoom call. Yeah.
So it's just mostly trying to talk through Zoom calls. When that happened, I was considering just starting to call every venue and ask them if this couple's real.
Yeah.
But then I realized that idea is very ridiculous.
I would feel a little psycho doing it. The venue would be like, okay, weirdo. Probably not, though, honestly. I've called venues before about like scammers, and I was right. I was like, I have a weird feeling about this inquiry, and called the venue. They're like, no, we don't have anything booked that date. Okay. Sorry, babe. And I'm like, oh, no. Yeah. But yeah, I've never gotten nearly as far as you did. No signed contracts.
No. But like there was also a point where I was like, okay, maybe I should just do an email introduction. Just be like, hey, this couple just booked me for their wedding date. And it's this couple's name. This is the venue that they said, and I just want to make sure I have the right venue. It's so nice to meet you. I'm so excited to work with you guys. I just wanted to know your guys' policies. Or just reach out.
That's smart.
Just to be like, hey.
That's smart.
So I was like, okay, maybe that's like a less psycho way to do it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's the crazy story.
That was so juicy.
Yes, it was also intense, so I'm so sorry.
No, this is the tea we're looking for in the wedding photography industry.
I love it.
Like, hopefully there aren't a lot more stories about scammers and catfishes, but if anybody listening has any, I would love to talk about it.
Yeah.
Send in your story or be a guest on the podcast. Would love to hear. Where can people find you on the internet so they can follow along with your photography?
Yes, I'm on Instagram. I don't know why, I just felt like I went cross-eyed right there. Instagram, it's Ashely, ASHLEY, C Kirby, KIRBY. Or my website, that's my email. My website is ashleycynthiaphoto.com. So,
Awesome. And then you're on TikTok too, aren't you?
yes, but it's mostly my creepy posts on there. Like,
okay, don't follow her on TikTok.
Don't follow me on TikTok.
My bad, excuse me.
It's my personal.
I was like, I've seen you on TikTok.
Yeah.
And then for me, you can follow my work at 1828 Collective. If you want to see more about the podcast or photo education, it's at 1828 Photo Education. And then I just have like a jumble on my TikTok at 1828 Collective of education and work. So follow along on there. But thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next week.